No, I think
I
it's
think
happening.
so. Yeah, I think
Wow.
so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it is. Whoa. Okay, cool.
Hey, what do you know? We got
Oh,
it working, or
yay.
you got it working.
Look, this is a team effort figuring out how to do this on Zoom. For the like my mother who will be watching this. I am excited that Chuck, you agreed to do this with me. We had a really good conversation a few weeks ago about all the things that make Facebook ads tank. And you are so much smarter on the piece that ruins Facebook ads for everyone. So when I was like, hey, will you do this with me so that we can just have our conversation even deeper as a discussion, and then maybe let my mother and potentially, Claire, if you're watching, hello, see this if they find it remotely interesting. So yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you, Chuck, for joining a non-podcast episode with me.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Never done this before, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Do you want to at least introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Chuck Brockman. I've been doing technology for 20 plus years, primarily e-commerce. So there's a lot of different areas I've touched, but mainly what I focus on right now is more the technical SEO side, and in particular performance, in making sure when people hit the website, they can actually use the website. So in a nutshell, that's it.
Wow, hitting the website and it working. What a profound component to your ads, and why that's so important. Like, true story, actually. So we have a client that we've been running ads for, and part of our like process. So like when we run our Facebook ads every Monday, we meet as a team, go through about 31 different KPIs. I don't know if I actually showed you that sheet that we use. I should show you. It's pretty cool. I like it. But part of our measurement, what impacts our ROAS, is the conversion to landing page view numbers. And what we have found in our evolution as an agency and as media buyers ourselves, because we didn't always do this, was that like we would ignore what happened after the click. We were so responsible only for what we could optimize within the Facebook ads platform. And then like, hey, once they got to the website, that was someone else's problem. What I needed to do was get a higher click-through rate and a lower cost per click or cost per outbound click to get them off of the Facebook or Instagram ad onto the client's page. But when we learned better and started paying attention to like more of these conversion downstream metrics, we were able to accelerate ad spends much larger. And since we charge on a percentage of ad spend, it was like, oh, let's do a better service for our clients so that they'll spend more on ads so we can bill them more as an agency and everyone wins. So the component, the scary side, is when we started tracking these numbers, right? So we'll go through like cost per click, what's our CMOR rate, what's our thumb stop rate, and then what's our landing page percentage. And so this is like the first off Facebook and off Instagram KPI that we look at. So if you're familiar with the again, mom, if you're watching this, the meta pixel that is on a page, it fires when someone has left or when someone has gone to that page. And if they've gone from a transact, like the Facebook or Instagram source goes into it, there's going to be that landing page view pixel event that triggers so that you can understand what percentage of people actually load the site. So our KPI benchmark is 90%. You want 90% of the people that click on that took an outbound click. So they said, yes, I want to leave Facebook or Instagram and go to your ad or go to your website. You want 90% of that traffic to load the landing page view, which means the pixel fires. We do a lot of audits. As you know, that is not a normal number, 90%, unfortunately. So it takes a lot of work. And I'm not the person that can speak to all the fixes to make it so that 90% of the people that left Facebook from your ad load the website. So Chuck, you were telling me like the crazy technical stuff that like most people don't want to think about, but are costing, and the opportunity cost and the money on ads, at least we have seen it like tremendous. Like we have a client that has 30% of their audience loading their landing page because the site's so slow, but they're
Well,
still at a great ROAS. So imagine if, double that 60%
yeah.
when the benchmark's 90, what that could do for their bottom line. So
Yeah. So when you think about that, I think it's exactly what you said. A lot of people think I'm going to use ads and I'm going to drive traffic, and it kind of stops there. And I think a lot of times companies are siloed in the way they do it. I need my website. Okay, so the website gets built,
yeah,
they go off into the sunset. I need to do email marketing. Great, I hire somebody. They kind of operate over here. Hey, I need ads and do this, and they're over here, and nobody is talking. And it gets there,
yeah,
and the website owner is like, what's going on here?
yeah.
And
They paid
everybody's like, hey,
everyone.
we're driving traffic to you. It's great. And then everybody and the owner's like, but I'm not seeing an increase in revenue. And so it's exactly it. Is you focus somebody to the site, and if the site is slow or it's unusable or there's an error or who knows what's going on, people are going to leave, or they're going to get frustrated after a couple clicks. And that's, it's just money being thrown away.
Yeah, it's like you spend so much money to get in front of someone. Like, so CPM is how you measure
Hmm.
what you're spending. You want to go around 25, 30 is your ceiling. You'll have fluctuations on that based off the audience size and frequency of things. But general rule of thumb in our benchmark, we have 30 on that same KPI sheet. And you're spending that to get in front of 1,000 people, and you want, 2% of the people that see your content to make a click. 2 out of
Yeah.
100, 1 in 50. So you're paying for that 1 in 50, but if you're throwing away less than 10% of that, like that's
Yeah, so if you start converting just those little bits, by slowly making these improvements, that's money that should be coming in your pocket, and it's
yeah.
not. And so you just leave it on the table, and somebody else, either they go somewhere else and they figure out they want it somewhere else, or they get frustrated and don't do anything. And it's terrible if they don't come back because they had a bad experience.
Yeah, I
You
like
don't,
from the coming back, remarketing, you should back end the effort for remarketing, but it's a lot of times, at least we have seen brands don't want to spend money on remarketing because they have SMS or they have email or they have other things, but we're exposed to like 3,000 ads a day. So
yeah.
it's important that you can at least retarget people that like clicked but didn't load the landing page. Like you can build those custom audiences within Facebook. But Chuck, I want to ask specifically, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why are like 80%, and it's okay, like if you're a client and you're watching this or someone that wants to become a client, like 80% of people come to us with slow websites or like pages that are interfering with the customer's experience. Like, Chuck, like why is this so common?
Because nobody talks about it. Again, the website, you get your website built and they're gone. You don't hear from them until you like reach out to them and have a problem.
Yeah.
And, there are a lot of great companies out there. So I'm not trying to, get on anybody and point fingers or anything. But a lot of times, I've been in the agency side where I built sites, and then, along a lot of different ways. And, that's the business, is to build the site. And you get the site out the door, but there are things that need to be done to optimize. And a lot of times people focus on the aesthetics. Hey, it looks great. This is great. Oh, that's a fantastic image you went out there and bought for me. Thanks. I appreciate it. And so they focus on all these things. And then a little bit later, they realize that, something's not quite right here. And a lot of times, we've got a great internet connection. So it seems okay until you realize that somebody with maybe not the same internet connection, it can't load it. And so you put this great hero image up there, or maybe you use, a rotator, and there are like 7 images there, but they're all like super big and they haven't been optimized. And so somebody comes in and you point them to that page, and then it loads and it loads. And if you're on mobile, it's even worse. And so they just are like, is my internet, do I have a connection? And then they just leave, or they stop, or whatever the case is.
I'm like, when you're saying that, I just kept thinking of the Zootopia scene at the DMV with the sloth and like saying a joke, like, or if you've watched the shorts on Disney Plus where she's at the restaurant, she's like, come on, please order, please. And like, people are we're so familiar with how ads work that you're not clicking on an ad being like, oh, I was tricked. I didn't know. Like I allow for 10%, so 90% landing page view. So say you have
Hmm.
100 outbound clicks, you want 90 of them to load that metapixel. I cover
Yeah.
10% because yeah, you're gonna have people that fat finger, or you're gonna have people that like make that mistake. But that's 10%, not
Yeah.
40 to 60, which is what we will see more often than not. But like you even like described yourself as like an SEO technician. I would argue that a lot of the times, like, yeah, people want it to look good, but I don't think small business owners or even sometimes like larger brands are equipped with the vernacular of how to ask or understand.
Hmm.
Like even me, like I wouldn't think, oh, I'm gonna look for an SEO technical expert. I would think I'm just gonna look for a developer.
Yeah. In somebody who develops,
Yeah.
you realize these things over time. So, building sites and building e-commerce systems that grow, to six figures, seven, eight, and as they move up, it becomes, you get more and more traffic, so it becomes more and more of a focus. But I think one of the things is you start out and you want it to look great, and then a little time goes by and your business is starting to grow, and then it kind of plateaus a little bit. But I think sometimes as owners of a website, we get so focused and we're sitting on our laptops or our desktops, and we have
Mm,
this tunnel vision where we're focused on like just a couple things about the site because we only look at certain things and then we forget about the rest of it.
yeah.
And so I did uh, I guess an unsolicited audit where I took a page speed for somebody, and the reply was, "Well, your computer must be really slow." And I'm thinking, no, I mean, I appreciate that response, but that is a common response. It's the user's problem,
Wow.
and so many people would be like, user error, it's your computer. And well,
Yeah.
computer's great. It's brand new and it's super fast. And it's the website that does it. And, we're talking about ads, but Google and Bing and everybody else looks at this too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
not only are you hurting your ads and your return on your ads, you're hurting organic SEO there too. So people, Google, that's built into how they do their rankings.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
you're getting hit in many directions now that you
Oh,
could be capitalizing on and leaving that money there.
so like, okay, so the opportunity cost definitely in the organic side, and we know that organic's a long
Hmm.
game. I don't know if I
Yep.
told you, but one of my e-commerce brands is going to hit 100,000 organic traffic visitors a month, which is super exciting. Especially because
Yeah.
the majority of that organic traffic has come from content written with AI's help, and
Hmm.
the the amount of traffic we're getting definitely is like, oh, it's like you hit certain thresholds for a small business owner to like realize I need to look more foundational. Like I need to sort the cavities in my teeth, or like, if I am serious about weight loss, I need to be more mindful of not just like going to the gym, but like what I'm intaking, things of that nature. Like,
Hmm.
what is your experience, or like when does this conversation tend to pop up for people when they reach out to you about this, or more of like, when does that response of it's not the user fault, but I'm aware of it could be the website's fault? When does, like, what benchmarks or like thresholds does it normally happen?
Well, I think, a lot of times it's kind of what I was saying. It's like you see this growth and there's, you're new to the scene, or, something worked and you got some publicity and people start coming. And so you get this bump in sales. And so you climb this mark, and all of a sudden it starts to just kind of linger, and it may grow a little bit. Maybe it starts to drop a little bit. And then people realize that something's going on. And usually I'm not the first thought. I want to be part of the conversation, but let's be honest, I'm not, most people don't think of it. They think technology and they think an expense and money out the door,
Yeah.
so they don't think about it until the site actually breaks. And so it becomes a somewhat of an educational piece that people need to do it. And, letting people know. I mean, there's an education piece on my part where, letting people know that, hey, there are some simple things you can do that'll make a big impact. And when you start ticking that conversion rate up just a little bit, that has a big impact on
Pennies.
what you get. And you
Pennies make
realize
millions.
yes, exactly. And that upfront expense pays for itself so many times over. And so, they come in talking about, hey, I don't know what's going on. I'm driving ads. We've got this great email campaign. All these people are, seeing the emails. We got millions of people we send to a year, and it doesn't come through. And that's when it becomes, well, your website may be the problem, you know?
It's not
And,
you,
and
it's
that's a
me.
hard thing to hear.
Ugh. Yeah, especially if someone's invested like so high in a beautifully aesthetic website and they've
Hmm.
got all of the right Shopify apps, because obviously I'm so
Yep.
partial to Shopify. You've built your referral program, your affiliate program, you have all these other activations in place, and you're like, but what?
Yeah.
So like, okay, you said that there's a few things specifically that like are quick and easy wins that can make a bigger difference. You mentioned earlier that like image size and optimizing those is like an easy culprit. I mean,
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
some brands are so image heavy, it's shocking.
It is. And so what happens, it's not just your image size. There's another component to it, it's image compression. So, you may like bring the image down from like straight off the camera to a smaller size, but there's compression tools out there that'll take that and, not to get technical, but it'll pull stuff out of the image while making the image still a high quality image. And it
Yeah.
reduces the file size by half, or maybe more, maybe not. And you think, okay, that's one image. But if you have a image heavy site, or just a homepage where you got a bunch of products,
Yeah.
that adds up. And it loads the next one, and it loads the next one, and eventually it takes a while for everything to happen. And websites don't have like little spinners, like, I don't know, I've got a Mac, and all of a sudden every now and then I'll see the little spinning wheel of
Oh,
death, and
that beach
something's
ball
locked
of
up.
doom.
Hmm. And so it's a lot harder to know that. You just think there's a problem and it's broken. So you leave, that something's going on in the background. So you don't know what to do. It's still doing something, but you just think it's broken and you leave. And that's like, I think so many people don't pay attention to that. Or they do for a little bit, and then a little time goes by, and then they forget.
Distracted.
And then it becomes the same thing. And all the images that come in are just ginormous, and it's just, you're just shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. That's probably the biggest thing that people can do without having to do anything else, like having special tools. You can do it online. It's a process that can happen, and you just make that part of running your website. Anything that goes up, let's optimize it. Do these two things: size and compression.
So what about
So
Shopify though?
related,
Like, wouldn't you assume that Shopify and all those other non-Shopify folks have this already in place for the store to be successful? Because you're like, hey, I'm paying Shopify every month. I understand that like their CDN is set up for me. Why
yeah.
is that not true?
Well, their CDN is set up for you. It will stick the images over there. It just does nothing with them in between. So
Mm.
that's the thing, is like, you think you get onto a platform, whether it's Shopify, WooCommerce, or whatever, and it's like, hey, this is WordPress. WordPress is so common, they're going to do this. Well, right now they don't, and Shopify doesn't. So there's some things you've got to do. So you can put an app in there and have it do it, or you can do it yourself and, just take the load. Every app you put on has a chance of slowing your site down. And a lot of times you see app heavy sites that could be
Yeah.
completely revamped and kind of much better, I guess, for loads, just because apps are in the background doing this, doing that, doing this.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Can we talk about this
so
more? Like, because apps is like, look, don't get me wrong, Zipify and like Shogun are great landing page creators. But when
yeah,
you are doing more than $7 million a year, there's just so much code that they inject everywhere. And even if you uninstall the app, like it lingers. I mean, it's just like, I don't know, like a silent but deadly fart for your customer's experience. I don't know how else to describe this, but like I don't have anyone ever bringing up like, oh yeah, we removed that app, but did you? Did you?
wait. So it's funny. I mean, I've hit many platforms, Magento, WooCommerce, and all that, and you think you turn it off. Oh, it's off, but it's still there. It's
Yeah.
just not doing anything for you, but it's actually hurting you and not doing anything for you. So you get no benefit and only bad.
I mean, you're not being charged anymore because I mean, we have some apps that we have with our clients that are over $500 a month as the base
Yeah,
price.
yeah,
But like, canceling those is only one join the credit card, but like all of this injected code that the non-developer SEO technician is lost, and like going and trying to find it, because I was dumb and thought, let me follow a YouTube video. I'm so glad that like I didn't hit publish anything, because the preview broke everything. And I was like, I'm not touching this. That's when we like hired our first developer that only speaks Shopify. But like, why, or like what, if there was something you wish like e-commerce stores did that are using apps, like as soon as you delete something, or like how often would you like want to audit your website to purge any lingering ghost code or stuff of that nature?
I think when you make changes, you need to do some sort of check on it. Now, it's hard and there are things to do, but really, you should have a plan, at least an annual plan of going through. I honestly believe you should be doing it more than that if you're making regular changes, but you should always be checking. And when you put apps in there, you know, something that's probably not talked about, yeah, they're injecting the code, but you're relying on their developers to follow best practices and optimize on their side. And so a lot of times they make their business on apps. And so it's about, you know, the app and developing and iterating. And, you know, I focus on, you know, optimizations and things like that. They don't necessarily do that. So they're sticking code in there that may not, you know, it may be functional, but it may not be doing you any favors when it comes to performance, even though you're using it and everything seems okay. So are they doing the things on their side? And that's always been, I guess, one of my pet peeves with applications is, you know, Shopify is different, but if you're in another world where you install it and you can edit them, a lot of times I go back in and have to edit those things to optimize them to make sure they, you know, do caching the right way. They do, you know, put their stuff in there that it's not putting too many things in there, and make sure from a security side too.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second, with California and all of like your pixel data and what you can track and what you can't track. I mean, that's it. We get ads that can be disabled because of a variety of different reasons. I mean, like we have clients with self-sensitive topics that like you can still advertise for, but you have to do it in a different way, like CBD or supplements and that stuff. But like the compliance thing, we've had a client that was sending HIPAA related stuff through the pixel that their developer set up somehow, and it shut down the entire ad account because it was sending unsafe data back into the Facebook ads manager. And so Facebook's like, I don't want that data. I'll take lots of data, but I don't want any of that stuff because it's non-compliant.
So it's interesting. There are two health-related apps, Cognitive and Better Health. And sorry to call you out on this, but it's been in the news to where they were doing the same thing, where they had pixels in there, and that pixel was sending out information that shouldn't be sent out. And so it becomes a lot more difficult when people don't think about those things, what you're putting out. And depending on how it's configured, it could really be sending sensitive information out that shouldn't be there. One of the things I wish, I know Shopify, you know, does an audit of their apps and checks it out, just like Apple does for the App Store and that kind of stuff. But you know, seeing what goes out of your site on a regular basis. And I know we're getting off the performance stuff more into a security standpoint, but I love security too. You know, making sure things are going out and going to the right place and not going to some bad actor that's trying to get the info, or wrong info is going out where it should be. So I kind of got off on a tangent there. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, it will affect, I'm telling you, like we've had to lose ad accounts. And then what happens in those security issues? So we've had a client, they were out for 2 years. Their business manager got shut out. So there's 3 different levels of like access for ads, right? You have your personal Facebook account, you have your business manager, and you have the ads manager. I mean, then there's also the Facebook page, but those are the 3 pieces that go into it. And I mean, now what's exciting is stuff with the verified check marks and the expansion of Meta Workplace, so that like you don't have to have your Facebook personal account attached to your work account, which is like, I'm so excited. This is the evolution that the blue verified check mark is going. But, you know, that type of stuff can destroy any performance you can ever do. Like if your business manager and your personal Facebook are the 2 highest levels, your ad account can get disabled and you can launch a new ad account. There's ways to go around it. Like you can solve for this. Your business manager get 2 and your personal account you get 1, because now you have to do the verified ID. You're not allowed to have multiple, you know, accounts anymore, which is like, you know, overcoming Finsta, but for Facebook at least. So yeah, I mean, even though it's not technically performance, it's just like no performance if you risk it.
Yeah, it's a
So
different kind of performance, and
yeah,
then, if anything goes out and all of a sudden, something gets out and somebody finds out about it, now then your brand suffers on top of that, so,
yeah.
it's, there's so many little things that can happen that, by, like for me, when I go in and try and help, there are a lot of little things that, get put into it that affect your performance. Like, is your email set up right? And is it not,
Yeah.
have you put everything in there so that it doesn't go in the spam? And so all these kind of little things affect performance. And I don't think people talk about this. It's again,
It's not
silent.
sexy. It's like
No,
IT.
it's
You're
not.
like, it's a
Why is it
line
not
item.
though?
It's not a profit generating avenue like paid ads
I
or email
know.
or SMS. Like it doesn't get the time of day, but like
But
mom
it should
again.
be. I mean, it should be like one of these
Yeah.
things that is sexy. It should be. I know. Everybody thinks it's the geek in the locked in the back room or something, but it should be because it has that direct impact. It impacts revenue. It impacts so many different things that you don't realize until it's potentially too late.
Well, we didn't as an agency start really doing this until last year, where we'd look at all those additional like down funnel
Mm-hmm.
conversion information. So that again, that the first one is that 90% landing page view, but then we're looking at like, okay, hey, well, we want 10% of that traffic to add to cart. And then of that
Mm-hmm.
10% that add to cart, we want, 70 to 80% of them to initiate checkout. And then of that initiate checkout, we want 90% of them, you're ready to buy. Okay, cool. Again, we'll give you that 10% lift. And then we
Mm-hmm.
look at what is the landing page view to total conversion. So we can see like we can build better CPAs, your cost per acquisition. We could be more aggressive in the auction at the Facebook ad level so that we can bully other people out of the marketplace. And then we can go for more cost-effective CPMs, stronger ROAS, lower CPAs, but you can't get to that place first unless you know your numbers. And people talk about knowing your numbers all the time, like knowing what you're willing to pay per customer, but knowing the conversion numbers, again, like small things that we didn't realize. And like, we're learning too, like we're not perfect. But like what was really profound for us was when we had one client and they were in the fashion space. So they had an apparel line.
Mm-hmm.
1 week, their add to cart rate was like 110%. Like, wait, how is it possible that more people are adding to cart? Like it's at such a high rate. We did a quick audit and we saw that, they had injected what looked like an ad into their product page. So people couldn't tell if they had added to cart or not because it disappeared. The cart was hidden by what looked like an ad. So then we went in and fixed it. And then we saw that their add to cart then tanked because different things were hidden. It took too long to load, all of those things. It took about a month of us going back and forth and working with their SEO technical and developer team because they're a big brand. They had everything in house to say like, hey, like this is hurting. Like, please, this has to be a priority issue. And then we got them to double-digit ROAS within 60 days of all those things being fixed. They were negative, and we're like, there's no way. Like we're getting all these like on platform, like the click-through rate was over 3%. We had this thumbs up rate. We had all the numbers telling us that this was a quality ad, but the sales weren't there. Just at the beginning of the call, you're like, I paid for everyone to do these things, but why am I not making money? Well, when we had done that deep dive, only then we're like, you have to prioritize. So they took money away from a TikTok hire. They were going to hire a brand agency to make TikTok content for them. And I was like, you have to divert that money to fix this. And then, within 60 days, we had double-digit ROAS. It's huge.
Yeah, funny. But it sounds so much better that, hey, let's go TikTok and drive, more traffic because we need more people because we're not doing anything, and, you find it's an ad or it's funny. You get to a page and there's a chat with us, there's an email modal, there's this and that, and you can't even find the button,
my gosh.
and it's a different kind of performance type deal, as to where it becomes a user interface problem. And, you think you do it, it looks fine on desktop because that's where I spend my days running my numbers, making sure inventory is solid, make sure, orders are going out the door. But I don't look at it on my phone and then I can't get to anything because it's, too many things in the way. And that drives people away to have to clear it out over and over and over again.
What's crazy is like you're saying that like it drives people away because I know as myself, and I know every brand we work with, the business owners, they hate the same type of experience, but they make exceptions for their brands because you go back to deferring that, like, oh, it's just my device, or like it's by exception, but it is common. And, you know, it's not unsolvable. When we do these audits, a lot of the times it's just like, hey, your pixel, well, I was saying pixels are not installed correctly more often than I'm disappointed with how often it is, where it's not, it's added at the basic level and not taken to a strategic point. And I'm talking about accounts that we've audited with over 6-figure ad spend a month. And it's a neglected piece of the story. And then if the pixel's not set up, you know, the other pieces aren't. So before we even audit anything related to the ad account, we're like, cool, anywhere that we'll send your traffic to is going to be a waste. I mean, I'm just like throwing stuff up there because the ads algorithm is only as good as the data you feed it. And then the data you're feeding is that people are disinterested in staying on your website because it's taking too long, or you have 6 competing pop-ups, or, you know, you have pages that are slow to load. So I don't actually know what I'm getting. So
I mean, you know, there's so many components that come into making sure your site's right. I think, you know, it may sound a little creepy, but recording sessions and being able to see how users interact, because you may find that these things, if you had spent a little time doing that, or you had somebody to help you do that, that people are actually struggling on that page. And, you know, some of them will give you what's called rage clicks, to where they are just pounding the mouse or the trackpad or whatever, their phone, because it just doesn't work. And it may be working, it just may be doing something that you can't see, you know, because it's hidden by something. And so, you know, there's so many little components here that, you know, at least from where I stand, to be able to use to like really get that experience across. And it starts with, hey, is everything configured right? And then you move to the other pieces, because that's where you start going, it becomes harder and harder to figure out how to optimize. So you got to really watch and do those things. But it all starts with, you know, basic performance stuff and making sure the page loads fast and it loads without errors.
The foundational pieces and the configuration, especially on the pixel, are it's like key. Like, I don't recommend anyone running $1 on Facebook ads if their pixel's not set up. Like, you're spending money and not getting the best bang for your buck, which is all the data to feed into the algorithm to find more people like the buyers you have. And then for the ongoing performance and the ability to scale, like, you have to take into those kind of facts. So like, in like a smallish kind of summary, like you're saying, you're recommending, if nothing else, at least once a year, think of it like your own website physical. You know, you go to the doctor, get a body physical, make sure everything is like moving in the right direction. I'm like, I pop my, oh, I don't know if you could hear that, how loud my elbow was, but making sure everything is in the right place and like nothing is sticking out or growing large.
I would, if you're not going to do anything, at least once a year, but I would have something in place that's really kind of watching along the way to notify you if something's broken. Because if you wait 12 months to do it, that's 12 months of potential something breaks and you're missing out, or, you know, it's down, or, you know, hey, it works great in Chrome and I only check Chrome, but, you know,
Safari,
other people are using something else, Safari, Firefox,
the native
whatever the
iPhone web browser is so neglected. Because if you're like me and you're like, I'm Chrome all day.
I mean, everything's kind of Chrome based now, but, you know, and I'm guilty of that. I'll like get that tunnel vision. I'll be like, hey, it works. And then I'll go look somewhere else, be like, don't look, you know, fix it real quick.
Or
it's
like
okay, nothing happened.
Like Samsung phones that like only 2% of the population have.
But
so
I mean,
what would you do
do
as a tool? Like, what would you recommend for someone like to set up that type of feed watch or like that website watch performance if they're not, like, the options are having someone on retainer that you can reach out to that checks and sends reports, or like, what is the main? I mean, obviously you having that as a solution.
So I think, you know, you need to understand both, like at an analytics level, like where your traffic's coming from. And there are tools that will, you know, analytics, I think, can be so confusing, but, you know, there are tools out there that are going to tell you, heat map tools that are going to tell you where people are clicking. And it goes beyond that, because you find out what's useful on your site and what you think people need to see, but they could care less about. So it gives you lots of different information, and you can look at it by mobile, by, you know, time of day, all kinds of stuff. And so heat maps, session recording, analytics to make sure. I mean, honestly, even though it's Shopify, you need a bug tracker on there to make sure things aren't breaking. Things like JavaScript with the plugins. If it's throwing an error that causes something to not render on the page, little things like that to just say, hey, there's a problem. You may not know what to do with it, but you can reach out to somebody who can either handle it or get you in touch with somebody to do it. But I honestly believe you should have something running in the background along with your site. It affects performance, yes. So somebody's going to come back and say, but it affects performance, yes. But if something's broken, that's far worse of a crime, I think, than just doing something.
Like, speaking of something that's broken, we had an ad just the other day that like one of our meters had to bring up because there's all these comments about how the website was down, website was down. It was down for 24 hours. Someone switched the theme and, it's okay. It was fixed. We saw from the comments. It happened over the weekend. Not the best thing.
But nobody got notified. The worst thing is to have a customer notify you that there's a problem with the site instead of picking up on it. The customer notified
their social team. Their social team didn't notify anyone else because they didn't experience the problem. And so then we brought it up because we're like, hold on, get this. There were hidden comments. It was someone had made a changeover on the website. They switched the theme. It was a Shopify store. It was not intentional whatsoever. But it was someone was jumping in, they switched it, and so it didn't carry over all other pieces from a previous theme. And so it was shut down. They hit it because they thought, and to the consumer experiences, to their side, they thought it was like a bot or someone that was trying to weigh down the reviews. Because I think comments on ads are like Amazon reviews. They make such a difference when someone makes a purchase decision or I'm going to leave Instagram to check. Like, they look at the comments all day long. And so you have sabotorial companies that are like making money by spamming or like commenting on competitors, be like, this doesn't work, this is a scam. So it made sense why the customer service team, customer experience team, wanted to not make that available. But so it was the customer who notified it, and then the ad agency was like, what happened to our performance?
Yeah, and you're right. So many people, I know I do, but that's social proof when the reviews and stars and that, hugely important. I mean, that gets you so much. But everybody's been there. Everybody's made a change in the admin, and you're like, oh, great, I'm going home. And it's like, I've done it, and all of a sudden you're kind of working along and you realize, something's not right here, and you got to scramble and do it. And the longer the time goes by, the worse it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that I get to share a resource that we use, that we refer out to, my mom and maybe Claire. Hi, Claire, again, if you watched. Chuck, like, seriously, like, I love geeking out about these things, partly because I love explaining why an ad isn't performing as strong as it has, or how the opportunity of the ad to scale even further with some of these pieces. And it's the unsexy conversations that, again, you're a line item. Sorry about it, but
I've heard it for years. It's okay. I'm no longer offended.
But
I'm a good line item.
You say that again?
I said I'm a good line item now.
Fair. You're the opportunity line item. Like, I mean, again, it's the best example was when we saw double-digit growth within 60 days. I mean, it took a month of updating all of those pieces, and we reduced our ad spend down to like less than $4,000 a week. But then we could accelerate back up to what we had been doing before. And wow, like, it was a good line item.
Yeah. Like
for
that.
Those pieces. So, okay, if someone does want to hire you directly versus having to go through me, what is the best way for someone to ask you, bug your brain, and say, like, how can you audit my website? Tell me all the mistakes I'm making.
I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, but everything is Chuck Brockman. So it's chuckbrockman.com. And if you need to get out, it's chuck@chuckbrockman.com. Just shoot me an email and I will reply, and looking forward to anything that comes in.
Oh my gosh. Can you please make my site is definitely broken at chuckbrockman.com as like an alias email address to be like, yep, my site is definitely broken.
I can do it. That's easy.
Cool. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate you like learning this with me. Like again, like don't do these, but it was fun.
I don't either, so it's been fun. I appreciate it.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna sign this off and stay in Zoom. I think we're gonna find out how this works.
Okay.
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
We may
Actually,
be
I was
sitting
like,
here.
oh yeah, wait, how do we stop? Okay.